All right, let's talk about another seat in play. The contest for the Federal Treasurer's prize seat of Kooyong is heading up as polling commissioned by the Monique for Kooyong campaign indicates a surge in support. Our Victorian political reporter Simon Love joins us live from Hawthorn East in Melbourne's inner suburbs. Simon, have we heard this story before in this newly contested seat?
We may have, Laura. I've covered the campaign of Kooyong for many campaigns. And I'll tell you, last time around, it was Josh Frydenberg up against the Greens and also the independent candidate Oliver Yates. And there was a groundswell of support back then for other candidates against the Federal Treasurer. But ultimately, history proves that Kooyong remained in Josh Frydenberg's hands. So fast forward now to 2022, and you've got a very hotly contested seat here. The seat formerly held by Petro Georgiou of the Liberal Party. Josh Frydenberg took it over, and suddenly there's a lot of signs up here in Kooyong pointing towards a potential political contest because the independent candidate, Dr. Monique Ryan, has a groundswell of community support, as well money from the Climate 200 movement. Now, a poll that's been commissioned by the campaign of Monique Ryan, a poll of 847 residents done by UCOM shows that on a two-party preferred basis, Dr. Monique Ryan sits on 59%. Josh Frydenberg sitting on 41%. So very interesting figures there. Obviously a sample size of 847 residents. The poll on the 12th of April, there's about a 3% margin of error. So it's only one poll that's been commissioned in this seat. Speaking with Liberal sources, Laura, the Liberal Party are certainly doing their own polling in this seat. And I can tell you here at Josh Frydenberg's electorate office in Hawthorn, while the government cars and the security detail, they appear to be out the front. So maybe Mr. Frydenberg might be doing a bit of campaigning today.
There are so many polls out there and polls that'll say one story or another. I think the reality is Josh is working very hard for every single vote. He doesn't take any vote for granted. That's all he can do. That's all we can do as a government.
Michael Suka there, Josh Frydenberg's colleague, out here in the politically sensitive eastern suburbs. He was speaking on earlier on Sky News with Peter Stefanovic. So very interesting to see the mood of the Liberal Party in this area at the moment, Laura.
Yeah, look, we're keeping a very close eye on the independents this election. Talking to Zali Steggall, we got into a bit of the weeds there about minority government and who's kingmaker. The independents very much could be. But what does this say about support for independents across Victoria, do you think?
I think it shows that there is a groundswell of support. When you speak to people here on the streets of Melbourne, particularly in some of these seats that have probably been considered safe Liberal seats, Laura, there is issues on the ground, particularly when it comes to issues such as climate change and integrity, and perhaps that's what the independent candidates are tapping into. Particularly also down in Goldstein, we're seeing the independent candidate down there, Zoe Daniel, a former ABC journalist. She's campaigning on that sort of platform, a similar platform to Monique Ryan as well. But she has come unstuck with a few things over the weekend. The Saturday Age newspaper over the weekend reported that Ms Daniel apologised for a series of comments that were made by her and members of her team towards the Jewish community, which the Jewish community considered offensive. There's also been stories regarding Ms Daniel's campaign and also a school in the suburb of Brighton, whether Ms Daniel should have been addressing students at this time when a federal campaign is on foot. Now, as for what Tim Wilson, the current Liberal member down there, is up to at the moment, well, yet to be seen. He hasn't certainly alerted the media to any campaign events. So whether Goldstein's a seat in play like Kooyong at the moment, time will tell, Laura. This is going to be a very interesting next 5 weeks in this area.